Divas! So today we are learning CSS, which is a way to make our websites have style, have color, have fonts, background colors, all kinds of cool stuff. So we're going to do that learning CSS, which is a new markup language. First, let's talk a little bit about what we've been doing so far with HTML and what HTML is. So HTML is also a markup language. That's what we've been coding in so far. Let's look at one of our HTML files to see kind of what that code looks like. And so first of all, we've got a couple things that clue us into using HTML code. First of all, when we end a file in .html, that means that we're going to code in HTML. And that also tells the browser to understand the rules and the text that we put in that file as HTML code. So let's open up index.html just to take a look. Here. So I'm going to click edit there. Okay, so the HTML I've got so far, I have HTML tags, and so these are rules in the coding language HTML. So for instance, we've all been using H1. H1 has an opening tag and a closing tag, like many HTML rules. The opening tag tells the browser to start understanding all the text in the middle as a header, as a big main title of our site. And the closing tag tells the browser to stop considering that as a title. So this says everything in the middle of these two tags, consider that to be the title of our site, the H1, the big title. Okay, and so here's another one, for instance. This one is an H2. It's a smaller title, so this is usually for subtitles of pages, so different sections of your page. And so this opening tag says start understanding this text as a subtitle. And so all of this is the subtitle. And then this closing tag says stop understanding this as a title. So all of our code here is giving the computer, is giving our browser, which is run by our computer, is telling the computer what to do. It's giving it rules to do. So this says start making a header, Katie site, stop making a header. This says start making a subheader, and then we do stuff, and this says stop making a subheader, and so on and so forth. So these are all HTML rules. This is HTML code, HTML markup language. HTML is the language that we are using in this file. Okay, so now we are going to learn a second language, and that is CSS. So the first step we want to do is make a new file. So then click on New File. And if you go over here to your activity set 3, you'll see that all the steps that we're taking here are right here. So it says create a file style.css. I want everybody to make the same file name, so style.css. And it ends in .css because it is a CSS file. So we're going to put CSS code in here, which is a different markup language that tells our browser how to design our site. And we're going to tell it, it's going to know to consider it as CSS code, because we're ending the file name in .css. So name it style.css and then take out the inner code here and go ahead and save. Awesome. Now go back. So now that we've made our style file, we need to tell our pages, each of our pages, so my pages, my HTML pages are index.html and quotes.html. We need to tell all of our pages to use that style file. And so here's how we tell our pages to use that style file. Go ahead and open up one of your HTML files, and I'm going to open up index.html for editing. And then over here, and under step 2, copy this code to the top of your HTML file. So I'm going to click on this to get plain code. I'm going to copy it and just paste it right here. And you can copy this, by the way, you can copy this by highlighting it and press Command C. And then come over here, click, and press Command V. Oops, that didn't copy. There we go. Oh, shoot. Copy, paste. There we go. All right. So you can copy it by pressing highlighting and pressing Command C. Just make sure you get the Command C, which I wasn't doing, and then click over here and paste by pressing Command V. So let's look at the code that I've got set up here. First of all, this is a special piece of HTML that tells the browser that the document is HTML language. This is a tag that tells the browser to start reading in HTML language. This is a tag that tells the browser to start reading the stuff in between the opening head tag and the closing head tag as extra information that's going to help it read the document and understand the document and display the document the way we want it displayed. And so this meta tag is a way to tell the browser what kind of text we're using. So for instance, we're using English text. There's a text set called UTF-8. For now, just copy and paste that, but we can explain that a little bit more later too. But the bottom line is that there are other character sets that can be used, and UTF-8 is the common one. The next piece that is a really important piece is, and the piece that we wanted the most, is linking to the style sheet that we just made. So this says link, so we are adding this page to our HTML page. It's a style sheet. The rel says this is a style sheet. This is going to add design. And then this is the address of our page. And so mine is katie.webdivasclub.org/style.css. You're going to want to change your name here to your username. So it might be B and puppy cat, whatever it is. Mine is Katie. So make sure you do change that to your username. Okay. So every HTML tag has to be closed. Some HTML tags are self-closing. Most of them need an opening tag and a closing tag. And so here's an example of a tag that is self-closing, for instance, the image tag. So we say image source, and then the address of the image. And then at the end, it's got a closing slash, and then a bracket. So that tells you that this tag is self-closing. Another example of a self-closing tag is actually this link tag that we just added that adds our style sheet. You can see here that it's self-closing because it's got that closing slash. Most HTML tags have opening and closing tags to them though. So you can see here H1, it does not have a slash right here, and so it is not a self-closing tag. It needs a closing tag. And so its opening tag is here and its closing tag is here. So we need to make sure that our HTML is valid and that the browser is going to be able to understand it. So HTML right here, we can tell that this tag is not self-closing because it doesn't have the slash at the end. See, like this has a slash at the end, so it's self-closing. This does not have a slash at the end, so it is not self-closing. So we're going to need an HTML tag. So let's see if we need a closing head tag. Do we need a closing head tag? So when we look down, we see that there is another head tag that has a slash. So it already has its closing tag, and that's good. The meta tag, it's got a slash right here, so it's a self-closing tag, so that's good. The link tag, it has a self-closing tag here, so that's good. The body tag, it does not have a slash, so it's also going to need a closing tag. So then the next step is to go to step 3 and copy this code to the bottom of our HTML file. So I'm going to click on this to get the plain code. Highlight. Let's see. Command C. And then go down to the bottom of my page and Command V. Alright, and that gives me my closing HTML tag for this right here. This is a special tag up here, so we're just going to ignore this for now. This closes this tag right here, and this tag right here closes this tag. And so what you'll see a lot if you Google this and read about HTML is these tags are nested inside each other. So just like a nest can contain eggs, just like a physical nest can contain eggs, think about it that way. Tags can contain other tags. And so, for instance, this body tag, it's not closed until the very end right here. And the reason is because the body tag is the one that tells us that we're doing all the stuff in the middle is what is actually going to go on our site. So this is the content of our site. So we don't want to close the content of our site until the very end. And we don't want to close the HTML of our site until even beyond that, the very, very end, because this is the tag that says stop reading HTML. And we want the page to be, all of this be read as HTML. The head tag stops here because the head tag says these are all the things that we are going to add to the page that aren't actually our page content, but are going to affect the content. So for instance, how the characters are read, or how to add a style sheet, or later on how to add JavaScript. And so anything that you put between the two head files is not going to show up in the content of your site. It's not going to show up actually when you load your page. It's just going to affect the way the page looks. So the head tag is closed right here. And so all the content that we have been writing so far, all the HTML that we have been writing so far, is all body HTML. And so that is why this code goes before what you've written, and this code goes after what you've written. So that was a flyby of HTML. Hopefully that gives you some idea of what HTML tags are, the HTML markup language that we are using. If you have questions, definitely ask me. Please ask me. For now, I want to get on to CSS so you can start designing your pages, because that is super fun. So we are going to save that. Let it save, let it save. All right, and then go back. And now we're going to edit our CSS file. So go to style.css and edit this. Okay. So the next step is I'm going to give you some code to add to your style.css file, copy and paste it in, and then start editing it to make it look the way you want it to look. And so go back over to your activity set 3, step 4. We've opened up our style CSS file. Now we're going to add design rules. So copy the code. I'm going to click on this, highlight, Command C to copy, come over here and Command V to paste. Save that. Hooray! Wait till it saves. And then now I'm going to open up a new tab to show you sort of a before and after. Load your page. So mine is katie.webdivasclip.org to see what happened. And so now you can see the background is green and the top tag is blue. So this is the before. This is how it looked before. And this is how it looks after. Okay, why? So here, this is how a style file works. Each of these items right here, so you can see two different blocks. We've got a block here, and we've got a block here. The block starts with an HTML tag. And so the one that you guys are probably most familiar with, because we started with it on day 1, is H1. So this H1 tag, this says that all the rules between this bracket right next to it and the closing bracket right here, all these rules are going to apply to an H1. Okay, so this over here, Katie's site, is an H1. What did we ask it to do? We told it to make the color this color, and I'm going to explain what that color is. And we told it to make the font in Arial. And so that's what it did. Cool. Alright, I'm going to explain the body, and then I'll come back to how to get that color. So the body is all of your site. It's all your HTML. It's everything that's displaying on that page. We told the body to be the background color, this background color right here. And so that's what this is. It's this teal color. So now let's learn what those colors are. So this is a hex code for a particular color. And the computer knows to read this as a hex code because we started with this pound sign. So when you're using a hex code, you can start with a pound sign. So the browser does understand some color names. If I did, say, yellow, for instance, I can save that. And the browser's going to know what yellow is. It's smart enough to do some things like that. See, so it made it yellow. So you can try some color names if you would like, but if you want to get really, really specific and get exactly the color that you want, you're going to want a hashtag. Because really, we couldn't even tell a human, well, I wanted a little bit more teal than that, but not quite that teal, a little darker, a little lighter. We need to get really, really specific with actual numbers. And so this is how you get specific with actual numbers. Go back to your activity set. Go to your CSS page. So under step 5, go to the CSS page for a list of CSS rules you can try. So we're finished with our activity set. We're going to go to the CSS page. Here's the CSS page. So there are lots of different rules here that you can try. But what I want you to try right now is go down to, under more resources, it says get the hex value of a color. So hit Control and then click on the link, and that will give you the option to open the link in a new tab. And this is a hex color picker. So here you can use this right here, this bar right here, to get all the various colors of the rainbow. And you can move your cursor around to get all the various hues and shades of that color. So say I want to pick an orange. I like orange. I want a really bright orange. So I'm going to go right here, and then at the top, this is the hex code. And you can tell it's the hex code because it's 6 digits long. Some of the digits are letters, but it's 6 digits long, and it starts with that hashtag. So I'm going to copy that, paste it over here in my background color. Make sure this rule ends with a semicolon and starts with a hashtag. Save it, and then reload. So I'm going to reload my site, and now it's orange. Hooray! So there are a couple more things you can learn. Go under CSS. There are font options here too. So again, click on Control and then click on the link. Control gives you sort of like a right click, so you can open that link in a new tab. Click over to your fonts. And so these are web-safe fonts. And the reason they're called web-safe is there are lots and lots of fonts. There are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of fonts. But each computer only has a certain set of fonts. And so all fonts have to be, there's some fonts that come with your computer, and there's some fonts that come with certain programs. There's some fonts that are specially downloaded. When we're developing on the web, we want to make sure that we're using fonts that lots of computers are going to have, that lots of different people are going to have, so that they're all seeing the same font that we are. And so there's some fonts that are considered web safe, and those fonts are the fonts that most computers tend to typically have. So this is a good list of web safe fonts. You can scroll down here and see which fonts you like. You can see the example on the right side and the code on the left side. So to use this code, just copy and paste the left side. So I'm going to do impact right here. Copy and paste the left side. So Command C, highlight first, Command C to copy. And then on the right side, paste it next to font family. So I'm going to paste it right there. And some fonts are in quotes. You'll see it's usually when there's a space in that font, and some fonts aren't. And they don't all have to be in quotes. So just copy it exactly how it is on this side and paste it over here next to font family. So I'm going to save that and reload my site. See how it went. So now my H1 is the impact font family. Now, if I want to make my whole page in a certain font, I can do that too. And the way to do that is to add a rule to body, under body. So I'm going to copy and paste font family, put it on a new line before that closing bracket, but on a new line, paste in font family. Save that, reload my page, and now it's all in impact right there. Now, these are just 2 HTML tags of many different HTML tags. So there are lots and lots of ways you can design, and lots more CSS that you can play with too. So once you've gone this far, now I want you to try different other CSS rules for yourself and just kind of play around, add different colors, add different fonts. For instance, you can copy any of these, any of this code right here. So I'm just going to play around with this a little bit for you. Here is an H2. Actually, I don't know if I've got H2s on my site. I do. So here's an H2. I'm going to copy and paste this H2 code. Again, Command C to copy, Command V to paste. Save that. See what it did? So that gave my H2 some style. And so the H2 style that I got, let's go through that. It says padding 10 pixels. And so that padding is the space around this block, which will make more sense when we talk about the background color. The background color right here is black. And so you can see the background is black. The color is the font color. And so the color is white. That's the hex code for white over here. The border radius is 30 pixels, so it's got a border. It's rounded off. So all HTML, I'll say most HTML elements are square at first, but you can make them rounded off. And so I made this rounded off with a border radius of 30 pixels. And then it's got a font family also, the impact, which is the same as the rest of the site. Actually, let's take this away because that's not right. There we go. All right. And from here, just kind of play around with it. You can see these rules, it doesn't matter what order the rules in. You can put them wherever you like. You can try moving them around from one HTML element to another. So I can make my H1 have a border radius and a background, and even a padding and a color. I could move all these rules around. I could change the colors. I can change the padding. Change the padding to 30 pixels, whatever I want to do from here. Just try to play with it, just play around with it, add your own stuff. Save as you go, refresh on the other side, so always have your two browser windows open. Have your left browser open for coding, and have your right browser open for viewing your changes. Yeah, so you can see that's already saved actually. And it helps to have the color picker open so you can easily pick through colors that you like. Helps to have the fonts so you can easily pick through fonts that you like. Go ahead and try all these. Copy and paste, play around, do whatever you like to do. Ask us questions if you have questions. Ask your partner questions. Work together with your partner to figure things out and ask us questions as well. And just have a lot of fun with it. One more thing I wanted to show you, by the way, before we break here. To make the style apply to all of our different pages. So if I click on my next page, click here to see my favorite quotes, you'll see that the design that I just made doesn't apply to this quotes page. And the reason it doesn't apply to the quotes page is because I haven't added the HTML that links the CSS. And so to add the HTML that links the CSS, I'm going to go back to our activity set page. So activity set 3. I'm going to open up quotes.html on this side. So edit that. Copy and paste this again. So this part, highlight, Command C. This goes at the very top of my file. Here. It didn't copy. There we go. Command C. Still didn't copy. Why not? You can do it. There we go. Sometimes it takes a couple times. I don't know why. So copy that and copy this. So highlight, Command C. We do it a couple of times to make sure it registered. Command V to paste. There we go. Save that. And I don't have to change this because they're both using the same style file. So I didn't need to change that. Go ahead and save that. You will need to change that though. You will need to change that to your style file. So again, this is Bee and Puppy Cat, or whatever your username is, but you will be using the very same style file that you use for your other page, your index page. So just change that to your username. Save that, and then now my quotes page will also have the same style. as my homepage. Okay, that's it. Go ahead and get started. Again, work with your partner to ask questions and figure things out together. Ask us questions. Ask us lots of questions. Try lots of things. And have fun. All right, bye.